Hey everyone, welcome to the P.A.D. Leg Saver Hotline podcast with my buddy Douglas over here. We've had Douglas a really busy day. We've got a live in studio audience as well. We have some great conversation ahead, but Douglas, I can't get my head wrapped around this one situation over the past 24 hours. It's really hit me hard. I don't know if you mind if I talk about it just a little bit, or if everyone in the audience can help
It,
just take
it,
me down.
it is another great Wednesday for our show and to talk about what we all experienced the
Yeah.
roller coaster ride of dealing with this disease. Isn't it amazing how it changes and it comes and goes? That phone call with that gentleman, we had a
Oh,
good
you had one too
conversation.
today. Yeah, you had one too that I haven't even gotten back to as well today.
And then I had a conversation with someone else in the group about their mental health status right now, and it is strange, and to think about what you go through because you deal with it a lot more than most of us do, and we experience it and we live it every day together, don't we?
Yeah, and a big hello to Marcia, Thomas, and Beth, and Anastasia, and Heinz, and of course our friend Joshua. I mean, more, joining us, in our live studio audience. Make sure you want to join our live studio audience. Just go ahead and email us at info@padhelp.org. But please, like our video here and subscribe to our channel for more great content like this at youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart. Helps us a lot to spread the word about life and limb saving options. And speaking of which, one of the gentlemen in our network, Mike, ended up, um, we helped him find an advanced limb saver. He's very happy. He was in a virtual world and met someone else whose husband is in the hospital right now and is on deck for amputation tomorrow. And I just happen to know his original doctor, and the original doctor did not know he was in another hospital on deck for amputation. And the wife said, "Yeah, please, can you see if you can coordinate and try and get us to the original doctor's hospital?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll figure it out." I called the original doctor and I said, "Are you willing to accept?" He said, "Of course, get him here. I'll give it a try. I'll do everything in my power." So I called up the other hospital. They said, "We asked the patient about transferring." The patient said, "Nah, he's flip flopping back and forth. I don't know whether he wants to or he doesn't, but we've got a great plan. He probably is going to lose his leg no matter what at some point. Why delay the inevitable? Let's do it now." And so here's this patient. He's alone in a hospital room, just a square box, no window, doesn't know which end is up, doesn't know night from day. He can't tell. No clock sitting in the room, little confused, right? And the mental health, kind of gets you right there where you feel locked in. You have no one to advocate for you there. You feel all alone. You're beholden to the doctors and the nurses that are there that all want you to stay, right? They want to continue the care there. They can't believe that there might be other options elsewhere. And they don't want someone else to save your leg if they can't do it because it makes them look bad. So they refuse to give up the patient and they just give up on the patient and convince the patient that it's so much better, and they walk in with dimples and smile and put their hand on their leg and their hand on their hand, and make them feel really comfortable. So needless to say, when I finally got a hold of the patient was like, "Oh, I'm going to stay and everyone's so nice here. And if they need to amputate, well, here's my belief. I believe that doctors are like apples. Doctors are like apples. You can go from supermarket to supermarket to supermarket, and an apple is an apple is an apple. Same with doctors." And I was like, "Okay, how do I help with this logic?" And
How do
basically at
you
that
answer
point,
that? Really? How do you
One,
answer that,
some,
Kim?
I'm like, it's not because some are waxier than others. Um, I didn't know how to answer that. It was one of those things where I had to recognize that here's a guy, he's scared, he has no one there, and he feels beholden. He doesn't want, and I hear this all the time. I don't want my doctors to hate me. I don't want them to be mad at me. I have tubes in me. I don't want them to hurt me. And doctors wouldn't deliberately, and nurses wouldn't deliberately hurt someone, but there's still that fear that there would be some sort of animosity because the patient wants to transfer. And so they were really scared. So I left it alone. I told the wife, I said, hey, you know what? I think there's one thing that he doesn't realize. I think he doesn't realize that he's not coming home. He's late 70s. He has a leg amputation, and everyone at that about that age that ends up with a major amputation like that, they don't go home. They go into a rehab clinic. They're not walking very much, and the other leg starts to turn. They send him back to the same hospital that doesn't have any further options for him. And what do you think happens? He ends up with a bilateral, AKA two legs gone, and his life is basically over at that point, with
Didn't
a high
didn't
mortality rate of 12 to 18 months.
didn't we have one just like that here a couple months ago?
We did.
Where
Yep.
he was so dead set on believing what his doctor said that he was gonna, no matter what he did, he was gonna lose his leg eventually. So might as well just go ahead and do it now. And
Yep.
he never even thought about, I even talked to him about getting a second opinion, and I know
Yep.
you did a whole bunch. But he was just so dead set on believing that this is his only option, and that's what he's going to do. But now he's thinking maybe I should have listened a little more, or maybe I should have thought about this more than where I'm at right now.
The last thing you want to do is live with regret. And when I talked to the surgeon today at the hospital, I said, don't, if it was your leg, wouldn't you want to get a second opinion? He said, actually, I really have no problem with him getting a second opinion. I mean, if he has a chance to keep his leg and someone else has a different option, then okay, but he doesn't want to go. And I'm thinking, yeah, because he's flip-flopping, because he'll say, as soon as they walk in the room, he'll say, I want to transfer. And then they keep talking to him, right? I don't know what they're saying, but something that changes his mind that maybe he's going to stay. Now, when I finally told his wife what I told her about him not coming home, she called him up, and when the nurse, I told the nurse, I said, get the wife, get the husband, and you on the phone because the doctor is waiting. The doctor is ready. We have a receiving doctor at a nearby hospital ready to rock. This hospital told the patient that the receiving hospital needed to initiate. That's illegal. That's poaching. The receiving hospital cannot initiate a transfer ever. It has to be the hospital that they're in. That hospital has to be the one to initiate, and a patient has a legal right to ask for a transfer. This is really important for everyone. As a patient, you have a legal right to request a transfer. Now, there are a few um, factors. One, as long as you're stable. Okay. If you're not stable, you can't. I remember when my mom had blood clots, they were like, we can't transfer her to another hospital because she's just not stable. And she wasn't. And it was sad. There has to be a receiving hospital with a bed. They have to have an available bed for you. And you have to have a receiving doctor, a doctor that is willing to accept you as a patient. And that is really, really important. Also, insurance has to be able to cover it. And a lot of times, if it's an even, they're the same level of hospital, the insurance a lot of time doesn't cover it. You can go from a community hospital to a university hospital. For example, in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, I was able to get a community hospital in Dayton, Ohio, and initiate a transfer up to a larger tertiary center. That's okay. And especially if there's a university with a limb salvage program, that's a really easy win. And for this one, this was a special heart and vascular hospital. So that made it so that insurance would cover it. But finally, it took the wife saying to the husband, well, honey, you get that amputation. I can't take care of you at home. What am I going to do? You're going to go into a rehab center and they're going to send you to a home afterwards because really, how long is it going to take before you get a prosthetic? So that did it. And finally, woo! The nurse said, okay, we're going to have the doctor call the other doctor and we'll initiate the transfer. But Douglas,
So,
this has been 24
uh,
hours.
are you dealing with? Is it the ego? Is it the pride? Is it money? Is it we know better than they do? And I mean, think. And when you were saying that, I'm thinking. So if I check if I'm in that position, all right, I check myself out of that hospital against medical advice, and then I go to the other hospital. I go to the ER to where that other doctor is. Is there such a thing like that? Is that a possibility?
It is, especially if it's a university hospital. It's a lot insurance it does tend to cover that, but it is frowned upon by insurance. We did have a situation with it was a very public case, so I can mention if you remember the story of Jay and her mom, Mama Joyce, and it's on our YouTube channel that you should check out. It's really powerful. With that situation, it was just I'm so frazzled. I just looked at my phone and I saw another text messages from the wife. Um, but in their situation, they ended up being told by the hospital that if they checked Mama Joyce out AMA against medical advice, that they would stick them with the bill. And that scared them a lot. And there are these scare tactics. I hate to say that some of this happens. I'd like to say that in every hospital with every doctor that everyone has a patient's best interests at heart. I think for the most part they do. But in sometimes situations like this, maybe in the heat of the moment, people say things they really shouldn't. Maybe the hospital was scared because for this patient, they had performed in Mama Joyce's case, they had performed 2 failed bypasses, and they were literally they didn't want anyone else to see what they had done because I think they realized after they did the failed bypasses that, "Oops, I don't think we checked the inflow," meaning the iliac and the aorta, and that's exactly what it was. That they didn't need to be doing those cuts down her legs and trying to do these bypasses at all because all it took was a wire and a balloon and a stent, and voila, in her iliac, and she had full blood flow down to her toes.
And that phone call today, he's had 4 procedures, and he's now they want to do his left leg, and he said, "I'm laying there in bed, and I got to thinking, wait a minute, we're revolving door here. Maybe I need another opinion." And that's why he called because he saw us on the radio, but on the internet, and that's what he
Yeah.
said to me. He said, "I was laying there, and I got to thinking." I just don't feel right now. Something is just not right. Maybe I need another opinion before I have another one. And and when you say that though, Kim, I think we've talked about this in here before. How many of us would raise that? I'd rather keep my leg for another year instead of going through what I know people go through when they have amputations.
Yeah.
I'd rather try that for another year or another 6 months instead of taking that route, especially with what we learned through this program, what people go through with amputation. Some people get them, and 2 days later they're fine. How many do we know that are still waiting for their legs? Because insurance is the revolving door, and
More than
insurance wise,
60%
is
don't
yeah,
get their prosthetics.
yeah, and so that's very drastic thought process. That I'm done. I might as well just go ahead and do it.
Yep.
And that's
It is,
that's
but I think that people get tired. I think when you're in they kind of beat you down a little bit. Um, I mean, we had a patient in Michigan. And I know our friend Marie is on here in the live studio audience. Again, if you want to join the live studio audience and you're watching on YouTube, info@padhelp.org. It's great. You can see everyone, all of our friends here, Anastasia and Heinz and Beth and Thomas and Marcia and Douglas and Marie and our friend Joshua and everyone's here, and more. So, join us here. But in Michigan, the I had the conversation with the vascular surgeon, and I said, "So what do you think? Do you mind if the patient, you don't need to do the amputation today or tomorrow?" He says, "No." He says, I'll put in the notice. I'll let them check out, and if they choose to have the amputation, they can come right back." Well, the checkout wasn't that easy. They made it so difficult, milked it for all his worth. He didn't have discharge. Nothing else happened for 3 days. Nothing else happened for 3 days. And finally, I had to call again, leave a message for the vascular surgeon and say, "I don't understand. What is going on here?" "Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, we just wanted to make sure and blah, 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 and this and that." And I said, "Well, you could have said it before so we could have prepared." "Well, we just kind of decided." And I said, "But nothing's happened over the last 3 days. He's just been sitting there in bed and no one will give him any information." He said, I'll make sure he's discharged." He was discharged within the hour. So, and not
how
everyone
many of
has
us
that ability.
how many of us have been on that roller coaster, and how many of us can say, I have experienced that moment where I'm just done. I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of the procedures. I sat in the hospital that one time 5 days without seeing a doctor, and then finally discharged. He said, just go
So
home.
ridiculous.
And,
I
and
couldn't
so
believe
I
that.
I
I was
have
with
been
you
there
on that.
before.
Yep.
5 days.
How
I had
miserable
a
was
heart
that?
attack on the road, and I spent 5 days in the hospital without seeing any doctor at
Without them
all.
doing anything. Without them doing I was floored. And when the doctor came in, they had nothing to say.
Well, he looked at
It
me and he
it blew
goes,
my
I've never
mind.
heard of. He looked at me and he goes, I've never heard of P.A.D. And I looked at him, and my first thought is, you need to just turn around, walk out that door, because you're not touching me. Sorry, we're not going there. But how many of us in this room and on the show tonight have been in that position where it does get tiring? You do get tired of the kind of like fighting insurance, fighting the
And
doctors,
Marie is
like
gonna
Thomas.
leave us because Marie doesn't wanna talk about that. Marie's gonna leave us.
No,
She
I was
says
saying
bye-bye.
bye-bye to the doctor.
Oh!
Oh,
I love you, Marie. So you and Thomas also here have literally been through the wars. I think Beth too. I mean, where you're just sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me." Like, this is just
Sometimes it seems like they're
unreal.
joking with you, but it has to be a joke sometimes. You're like, "Yeah, you're pretty funny. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no joke."
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean,
and
I
how many
just
times?
have to pinch myself.
Yeah, how many times have you looked at a Marie and thought to yourself, "Really, really? You
That's
She
said
when I
did, and
that?
then
call
she
Really?"
calls
Kim.
Kim.
Yep,
She did. Did you hear her?
I call Kim. I don't
She
even play around. I just call.
Jinx, Marisa at the same time.
I ain't stupid. I know who to call.
And look at
That
what
was just
Thomas goes through, has been through for the last year with what he's having to experience. I mean, the insanity of that, right,
It's
yeah.
too
Thomas?
it's too easy to give up. You know, I can understand people where they said, you know what, I'm done with this. At one point, I was kind of at that point, but I would never have amputation. And it was my last surgeon. I'm not going to mention any surgeons' names or anything. Before I seen Dr. Walker, and I decided to ask him after he'd been treating me for the gangrene, trying to get me to heal, what happened with the results to the cart he put through me. They went through like the left. I don't know the name of it, but your elbow joint, that up from it. And he said, "Oh, we can't get through it. I can't unblock it." He said, when the pain gets too bad, we're going to amputate." I said, "No." And I hobbled out there on one leg. I kind of skipped on the other leg. And my first thing was I called Kim. And I spoke to you too, Douglas. By that time, I was done. I said, I'm done with surgeons. I'm done with stupid procedures, bypasses that went wrong. Hospitals keeping me saying I don't have infection, but they want to keep me for a week and then have another bypass and stuff when I had gangrene. I was just done with it, you know. And it just,
Yeah, why would they do another bypass when there was no place for the blood to go? I was like, Thomas, they already did one bypass that's infected. Why would they do another one when there's no landing zone for it? And they're admitting there's no landing zone.
right.
I don't
Well,
understand.
I think I know what it was, Kim. They did a whole load of scans and then they redid the scans. And when they come back, they told me I didn't have any infection, which I did. They were running vancomycin through me, vancomycin 3 point some two or something, I don't know. And they kept saying we need to keep your your vitals good and everything else. I said the surgeon's coming back tomorrow. I said I'm not going for no bypass. You know, I said I can't have a bypass when I got gangrene. And I think I know it was someone, a surgeon I truly believe 120% showed me something on a scan. And I believe that they seen the same thing from the previous surgeon at that hospital and they wanted to correct it. And if I went down there, I wouldn't have come back with both my legs. I knew, and I discharged myself. He got really pissy at me, you
Oh,
know,
geez.
and he said, "Well, we won't see you again." I said, "Well," I said, "if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's got to be." I said, "I won't use the hospital at all for anything anymore." And he said, "Oh, we can't get you a practitioner through this hospital anymore." And I was like, you know what, I'm done. And I hobbled out. I
Mm.
think it was 3 days after that. I went to Lafayette, where they admitted me in the hospital with gangrene that had been there all that week. So I don't know. I,
How
Here,
did
here's
we get
another.
you in? I can't remember the exact story. How did we get you from that point? Because I remember you checked in to just because you were told, okay, I think you have an infection, and by an MP, she said, go to the hospital because you need IV. They told you that you needed more than IV. They wanted to redo this bypass, but no landing zone. And then somehow, how did we get you to Dr. David Alley, the cardiothoracic surgeon who had
well,
that special wound care stuff? I can't remember
I
that exact story.
right that I discharged myself on a Sunday because there was no way. I kept asking, "Can you put stents in it?" It's the only way I'll wait if you can unblock it with stents. They said, "No, we can't." Blah 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 blah, and they kept running around in circles trying to make me believe stuff and everything else like that. And I said, "No." I said, "Look, I'm going home. I'm not waiting. I'm going." I actually went back to work on Monday, and come the Wednesday, it was getting too bad. Um, so I can't remember if I got in touch with you first. I went to Dr. Ali on the Friday, and when I got there, he come in, he had a look, Cal had a look, someone else had a look, and they're like, oh no, we got to admit you. And that's when he told me, he said, we're probably going to have to amputate. And I had big tears and I said, no, you're not going to amputate. I said, if you're going to amputate, and I told him the same, I said, if you're going to amputate 100% and you know that, I'm not going to that hospital. I said, I'll struggle with the gangrene and everything else because no, you're not, you know. But he got me in there. He called an ambulance and they took me to the hospital and they were dilly-dallying around in ER, not knowing what's going on or anything else. And I said, ma'am, I said, look, I said, it stinks and it smells rotten. I said, it's rotten flesh. Well, we can't do nothing. And then I had to call Dr. Ali. He come over. He did get the ball rolling though. You know, he asked him why I wasn't hooked up to an IV, why didn't I have this scan done or that and the other one. And I think, I'm not sure if I called you from there on the Friday came or previous to that before I went up there. Because I knew that's when I'd been seeing Dr. Ali. I'd been seeing Dr. Ali for about, I think, 3 or 4 months, 5 months.
Okay.
And because you originally sent me to him because I've
That's when you
mentioned
were
to
in
you,
Lafayette.
right, I remember now, when I joined the group, I mentioned to you about my wound and I showed you the pictures and everything else. And you got in touch with Dr. Ali, David Ali, to see me. And he actually seen me that week. But this was about, I can't remember how long now he came. I think it was like,
I know it was a while ago.
yeah, it was 2 months after he did the catheter to check my blockages and stuff. Because I was back at work and I was at work with this. And it got to the state where I couldn't handle it no more. I could hardly walk with it. I couldn't sleep. I was just drained completely. You know, I was so worried
So
about losing my
Thomas,
leg.
no, I remember that, Thomas, and I remember here's a thought about doctors, and you and I talk about this. We can't throw all the doctors under the bus to begin with. Think about the staff and what you go through with making appointments and getting appointments and appointments changing, and how you were treated at Terrebonne and how you were treated at Lafayette, and the difference in those. And maybe
Oh
it's
yeah,
not always the doctor. Maybe it is all the other stuff that we have to go through. How many times have you waited on an insurance to say, okay, do this, okay, do that? And in the meantime, you're having to live with this, aren't you?
yeah. Well, the thing is, I've said it to Kim. I've even said it to Dr. Walker. I said, Dr. Walker, I said, he thought I'd missed 2 appointments. I said, no. I said, they called me up and they cancelled it until a further 2 weeks. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, they didn't tell me. I said, yeah. I said, look, here, it's there. And he pulled it up on the screen. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I didn't realize. And then when he never even knew my insurance had denied me for that last procedure he was meant to do. And Kim was on the phone too. And I was really pissy, not with Dr. Walker, because I understand, you know, he probably didn't know, but he should have
He
known
didn't.
from his staff. You
Nope,
know,
they
a,
don't.
a
They
fax
do
was
not.
sent from my insurance. And he said, oh, I never got it. I said, I have a copy of it on my phone. I said, I got the letter at home. They sent a fax. I said, they did 2 reviews on it, you know, fighting the insurance. And then I said, it come to the third one. I said, the third one. I said, I couldn't pay that money for that that review. You know, I said, and who's going to pay you, Dr. Walker? You know,
Yeah.
And
but
think about that.
it is
How that
crazy
make
at
you feel,
times, though.
Thomas?
Huh?
How does that make you feel in those moments?
It pisses me off, and I get to that point where, you know what, I'm done with this shit. That's exactly how I say it, and how, you know what I mean. The day that Kimmy was on the phone with me when Dr. Walker had just found out, you know, I couldn't have no more procedures. I had to have open surgery. Like, even the nurse would come back, and I said, "Ma'am," I said, why isn't the right hand speaking to the left hand? I said, this is not right. I said, this could have
Yeah.
cost me my leg if I'd been in, you know, in a mental state about it. I just said, you know what, amputate. And she said, well, and it's sad to say, the truth is, the front desk up there don't know what the nurses are doing. The nurses
Oh, we
don't know
see
what
that a lot.
the
Yeah,
end.
it's everywhere.
Yeah,
It's everywhere that we see that, because I even have a couple doctors. That's why we deal directly with the doctors. We do work with the front office, but I do let the doctors know, and the doctors give a nudge to the front office because, the front office is tapped out. Most of them are short staffed and overworked, and they just, there's a lot going on, and a lot of things end up falling through the cracks. And I always find that if, we send a message through um through me to the doctor nudges the front office, it just gives a little extra priority to those of you who are in our network. And that they know, for example, um one of her patients was late yesterday, and the patient messaged me, and I was able to message the doctor, say, hey, this patient is there, they're just trying to get their wheelchair offloaded, and they're having trouble with parking, and there's no one to help them with the wheelchair. So please be patient. And the doctor was like, oh my gosh, because my front office staff was ready to write them off. And I said, please don't. Can you still? Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll still, I'm glad you told me. So, um,
Hey, Kim, do you
sometimes it's
remember?
nice to have us involved.
Do you remember once I drove to Homa? You helped pay for a room, and I saw the doctor the next day, and he said, "Well, we can't see you for another month." And that was what, 2 weeks after they had a hurricane go through there. I understand that, but it's that part about, did the front off? Why didn't they let us know that they couldn't do this? And I drove 5 hours.
Yep. So it's just, we have that all the time. And my dad today was so upset with one of our doctors because they told him, he's used to the VA here, that if they're going to do a televisit, they're going to, they'll call you to tell you if they're going to be 15 minutes late or whatever it might be. But this is a different office. They're tapped out, fewer staff, not, on federal government, salaries, whatever it is. I don't know, but this office, they were running late. When you go to the doctor, I remember when Douglas, you went to one of the doctors, and the doctor came out, and you were sitting in the waiting room, and he came out in the waiting room, and he said, hey, I am running behind. You had already been there how many hours? And the doctor came out and was like, I'm going to
Right at
spend,
2.5 hours.
yeah, you were there. The doctor's like, just think, I'm spending the time I need with each patient. I'm going to do the same for you. I promise I'm not going to be in the rush, and I promise I will get you in. My dad was so impatient with these people that he was his tone was a little higher. And so I ended up with a call from the doctor um, today going, is your dad having a bad day? I said, no. It is literally that he is not used to a televisit that, they're 20 to 25 minutes late, and there's no explanation, there's no word, there's no, hey, hang on, we're going to get to you. He thought they forgot. So
Not dead.
it happens everywhere. Poor
Not
dad.
dead. Dead did not your dad. No. I'm sure he handled it very politically correct. As a patient, you know, if I'm going to be, if you're going to be that late, and I know you're going to come into the room and spend the time answering my questions, I'm going to sit there.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and being that late and you spending 5 minutes and not even, and it's like, no, I get aggravated. I get aggravated at that too.
Yeah, you've had that a number of times
I've
with
had
heart surgeons.
I've had to wait
What,
like
Marie?
that in the ER, but never at a doctor's office. That's outrageous.
Oh yeah, it
2
happens
hours?
all the time. They were squeezing them in. They were squeezing them in. There wasn't really a
That's
set appointment. They're like, get
all
there
right.
about
That's
this
different.
time. Yeah, and we
Well,
have
and then
that quite a bit.
yeah, we all have those doctors. I was on the 25th floor one time, saw a doctor, waited an hour to see him. And he was supposed to be this specialist. He came into the room. He said, I read your chart. I looked at your stuff and go home and just get your will ready and just be prepared. He's like, what? So he was just saying, he spent 10 minutes in there and I walked out and Kim and uh, uh, the other lady was with me and I'm standing on the 25th floor and I'm thinking I might as well just jump. Like, because his doctor basically said, go home, get your affairs in order, and you're done.
Yeah, hardly gave you the time of day. Really shocked. I mean, really,
Sounds like you of
it
them.
was. Well,
So, how do we, as patients, I mean, and I'm sure doctors, I mean, we hear the doctors on here all the time about what they go through, and they only have a certain amount of time, and their paperwork is backed up, and they have to do this, and I'm sure on their part also it gets really crazy too sometimes what they have
oh,
to
you
go
hear them.
through.
They're on LinkedIn all the time, and you should see them just complaining about the paperwork, and they really wish, and the protocols. One doctor just yesterday was on there saying one of the patients, when he left the room, he said, "Doctor, I love you. Thank you. I love you." And he he said he stood there for a moment because he felt like I should just say it back. Like, I love you too. Thank you so much. That means a lot. But he had to think of all the protocols had to spin through his head to make sure, at least he felt they did, to make sure he wasn't going to violate any rules or overstep. And so the doctors, deal with this every single day. They have to watch their P's and Q's. They have to document, document, document. They have to document not only for you guys, what you guys say, what they say to you, and they have to check the right buttons as they're going along. And it's not easy, right? It's just not easy at
And we've
all.
heard that from Dr. Phillips talk about that. It's that balance between being a doctor and dealing with another human being. And and how do you keep that separated and not cross that line between becoming attached to your patient or somebody that, remember he told us once he was doing a surgery and he said, I just sat there for a moment and realized I have this individual's life in my hands. And he
Yeah,
said
I'm
it
like
was just
touching
one
their
of those
lifeline, their
moments.
blood. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was just one of those moments. I just sat there and thought, I have that much power. I mean, I can't imagine what that would feel like at that moment.
And then he was like, and then I thought power, and then I was like, responsibility. And he even shared that story, it's still hitting him to this day. It was his Christmas miracle where he had that patient
That's what I
that,
was thinking of.
Yeah.
right? And the patient, by any standard, they were done. They were cold. They were dead in the water. And in that moment, it would have been easy for him to just say, nope, it's just that I'm going to look at the data and the data suggests that, 99% of these fail. So I'm not going to even give them a chance, which some would do. And he just in that moment said, you know what? Let's try this again.
And how crazy was that? Remember, he was already at home and he forgot his laptop. He had to go back to the hospital, and that's when he got involved. So if he had
Yeah.
stayed at home, would that individual had any chance at all?
And he said that if he wasn't there in that moment, he would have been at home. He would have said, just let me know when you revive him. And if you revive him, then I'll come in. I'll do a heart cath. But because he forgot the laptop and he said he remembered standing there and going, well, you know what? I never forget my laptop. I meant to be here and I think I meant to save this guy. I meant to do something. And they literally went above and beyond. And not every hospital has the technology that they had there, whatever it was. And he said to this guy, he said, I don't know what your belief system is, but you have a purpose. And I suggest you think about it because you have a second chance at life here. And I know you have a reason and you're going to do something with it. I know you are. I was like, wow.
I get
Uh-huh.
told that by two different surgeons. The first one was my LAD. They had the paddles on me and everything else, and they were like, well, "You should be clinically dead." You know how you got through it or whatever. I mean, they went in with the calf. They never numbed me or anything. They went through my groin down to my LAD, but she's
Yeah.
right on the curve of it. And so then when they were getting me ready to come out of ICU the next day, 2 seconds after the doctor left, I had a grapefruit grow on my right groin.
Oh no,
Called the
hematoma.
nurse, and I didn't know what to do, Kim. I just kept my hand on it, you know. And the nurse came in, she's like, oh, squeeze. And she called another nurse to push it, stop it from there. If that pops, you're going to bleed out. And then when I went for my for another, I think it was the third time, I went for I went in for a checkup, and he found out the right um coronary artery was completely blocked. That was the one I showed
Oh
you the
wow.
scan of, where
Yeah, you had trouble breathing then, didn't you?
I, I had all kinds of crap going on,
Hi Chuck.
you know.
Welcome.
Well, anyway, I was going through the procedure, and normally I'm awake.
Quarterback, not to my suit tie combination
Yeah.
all the way back in with the blockbuster.
Hey, Chuck, there you go. Thank you.
It's great to have
But yeah,
you.
no, normally I'm awake, and I
Yeah.
was. But then when he touched a part, when he got through a part of the coronary artery, that was it. I don't remember anything. But then after the procedure, similarly, I've been laying there in the bed for about 17 minutes, and they turned around when I come to, whatever they done, they turned around and said, "How did you get through that? We don't know how you survived. I don't know what happened in the procedure or anything, but all I know is when I looked around, and my surgeon at the time, he looked over, he smiled, he jumped, he's like, yes, and walked off. So there's a reason why we're all kept. Know what I mean? I believe that. I believe there's a reason for everything. You know,
Hey, Beth.
um, my reason, what I think my reason is, Douglas
Yeah, what is
and
it?
Kim, I
Yeah.
think I've been kept alive, being honest, so that doctors and surgeons and other specialists can learn from me. I honestly believe that. You
Well,
know,
and it's your inspiration, Thomas, the inspiration that you have and when you make that statement, never give up, never give up. Every time you
you
make that
can't
statement,
give up. You know, and my biggest inspirator for that was my mom. You know,
Oh.
I hardly ever see my mum when you know, from like, I don't know how old. I remember getting my diaper changed on her knee. I'm probably around about 7 or 8 months then. But I never really seen my mum apart from like odd weekends because she was going through chemotherapy for cervical cancer. But she ended up hemorrhaging and dying, you know.
Oh
But
no.
but it wasn't that she never gave up the fight, you know. She fought until she couldn't fight no more, you know. And so I thought, no,
Well, I
And I
I'm
think you have
think
gonna
a
you're
greater
right.
purpose. I think you have a beautiful
Yep.
daughter that's going to be a chef, and we love having you. And you're not going anywhere because you're now family, and we've been through so much, and we're just fighting, with you. Um, right alongside you. And I think that the doctors, I think you do have one of those tough cases, but you know what? There's a brand new device that I want you to look up. It's called AngioSafe. And you've been fighting long enough. And I always tell people, if you fight long enough, someone might, a new innovation, it's moving at the speed of light when it comes to PAD. And this one just got FDA cleared on September 30th, and it's called AngioSafe. And they're literally boring holes through rock hard calcium. And I'm actually going to go see a doctor tomorrow over in Scottsdale, Arizona, that is one of the first to use this. And he went through a 16 centimeter, is it millimeter or centimeter? A very long occlusion in the leg
Yeah, but
with
you're
this.
at.
It was pretty incredible. So it's really worth look it up, Thomas Angio Safe. And hi, Alan. And
Hello.
and I'll let you know if there is a doctor. I would imagine, I know he met with Dr. Walker in June, but it was before it was cleared. So I think it's only a matter of time, and I think you'd be one of those perfect cases. I'll check, if you remind me next week, I'll check with the company when I talk to them to see if they have any contact there, because that could be an option for you. Right now, I
right,
think it's above knee. So if you have a blockage above knee, it just bores a hole right through the middle of the calcium.
right.
So
Well,
let's
I'm blocked. I know I'm blocked from the stents that Dr. McCall put in, which was just below the stents that Dr. Walker put in.
Okay.
And I'm blocked from there all the way down, right down to that little runoff where I've got a trickle of blood flow. So
so
it's
let's go back to something, Thomas. You're what you bring, and I want everybody that's in here right now, think about what you particularly bring to this group. All that you bring, all of us as individuals bring something to this group for somebody else in the group. It's not like I'm only here for me. I'm here to give back. I'm here to receive. Look at everything Beth has been through. Look at
Yeah.
all and Alan and hey Chuck, welcome. And
Yeah, we
think
have to
about
have Chuck
everything.
intro and say hello. And we have Anastasia that should say hello as well.
Yeah.
Where's Marie?
Bree
Undo
is
your.
here.
I can hardly see you. Hi, babe.
I know I have to turn my phone sideways to see some of the people when we get too
You've
many.
been through hell, girl. And I'm so
That-
proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Look, and she's
Think
has the
about
most
her
beautiful smile.
inspiration.
So you want her to just keep
Yep.
smiling, right?
That's so
Where
sweet.
where are you, Chuck?
I'm in San Clemente,
San Clemente. I'm in California too.
California, Orange County.
That's right. You're down with Dr. Allie, wasn't it?
It's kind of, yeah, exactly. Ali, and then Rashid,
Oh,
whatever
are
his
you
name
seeing
is.
Dr.
Yeah,
Razavi?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my guy now. And
Oh, cool.
he is awesome. And he told me
Yeah.
to quit basically everything except for baby aspirin, which I'm really down with it because I didn't like paying for Xarelto. That was ridiculous. And
Yeah,
my leg is fine. I walk 150 miles a month and it's like changed my life. I'm good now.
that's amazing. Did he do any procedure on you? Because I know you had talked about
I've had
having a procedure.
4 stents put in by Ollie Gulshan. And the last time he wanted to do another one, I said, I'm over it. No, I don't. I need to see somebody else. And you gave me Razavi. And I went to see him. And he said, you're good. You just need to keep walking. And
Yeah.
I went to Vegas 2 months ago with my son. We probably walked 5 or 10 miles a day. And I was fine. It was crazy. I
Oh, good for
maybe had
you.
to stop every 3 blocks for like 20 seconds. But it's so radically different since I started walking 100 to 150 miles a month. And that's all you got to
Yeah,
do. And you don't need
and
to
you
be
have
really
pushed
anal
through.
about it. You don't need to walk 3 miles a day. You could walk 10 miles every third day and be fine. And that's my take, is that's what I learned is everybody says you got to walk a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles a day. Not true. I'm fine now because I walk 150 miles a month and I play golf about, well, 10 or 12 times a month and I walk.
How
And
long ago
because
were
of
your
that,
stents
on a
placed?
hilly golf course, I don't need to walk every day. I walk every third day probably, but I walk a
How
lot.
Marsha
I end
wants
up
to
with
know how,
150 miles a month. What
and
do you think,
Marsha wants to know
Marie?
how long your stents were placed. How long ago were your stents placed? Right, Marsha?
Yes, that's what my question is.
I wonder what Marie is doing because she's
Well,
been
how
through
long?
that.
Can you
Well,
not hear
how
me,
long
Chuck?
ago? How long were you? Can you hear me, Chuck? How long ago were your stents placed?
I've had stents 3 or 4 years now. Every year, about one a year for 4 years.
When
And
was the last time you
it's
had a
been
stent
2
placed?
years now since my
2
last
years.
stent. A year and a half or 2 years since my last stent.
Well, good.
For some reason, I can't hear very well.
So you've joined us in the collateral nation then.
Because Chuck, my experience has been quite different than yours.
I
So I
can
don't
hardly
think it's
hear.
a one
I can use
one
my
size fits all.
my ear.
I want
Yeah.
to hear what Marie has to say because she has been through hell.
It's not-
Oh, okay, I'll just hang up then.
One
Never
goes out,
mind.
one comes in.
No, I want to hear
I
you.
don't think.
Oh,
No, I don't
oh,
think
shit.
he can hear you, Marsha.
What's that, Bello?
No, I
You
can't
got
hear
your shit.
hardly
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, he's not hearing you, Marsha.
Yeah,
So Marsha,
Marcia's
you know,
kind of low right now.
No, I can't.
um,
Marcia's mic is off. Her mic is
no,
off.
It
it was.
wasn't when I was trying to talk.
Oh, I see it now. Oh,
Can you hear her?
not, yeah, now, maybe.
I said
Marcia?
Marsha,
my
try.
experience has been quite different than yours. I'm happy for you, but I don't think it's a one size fits all or one, you don't need to walk, you only need to do this because that's not been my experience at all. So
What do you mean?
well, that I would go and get stents placed, and within like 3 months, the pain was back. And you know how much I walk. I walk a lot,
Yeah.
and I mean
Yes, you
now
do.
yeah, and the walking. I mean, I have great collaterals, but that doesn't mean I don't have pain. Um, so I'm really happy for you, Chuck, but I don't think that's everybody's experience or even necessarily great advice for the general PAD patient.
It may
Well,
not
he's
be,
saying
but it
just for
worked for
him.
me. It
Yeah,
works for
he's
Good
saying
me.
it
you,
worked
yeah.
for him.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I really am happy for you. I wish that
I
had been
feel
my
lucky.
case.
I feel lucky. I love golf and I play it 10 or 12 times a month and I walk every time about 8 or 10 miles and it just adds up. And for me, it does the trick because I know about 3 years ago, my son and I went to Vegas. Oh my God, I killed myself. And it was about 2 months after I had a procedure and in my normal life, it wasn't bothering me. But when you walk 10 miles a day when you're in Vegas, going to like every other casino, it really hurts. And then the last time we went in October of this year, after all my walking golf, I was fine. I mean, I'd have to walk like I could maybe stop every 3 city blocks. That's a long
Yeah.
way, right? And so because of that, I didn't have hardly any. I would stop for maybe 30 seconds. I'd be fine. So I didn't have pain like I did 3 years ago when I didn't walk
And
120 miles a month. That's my
and
experience.
Chuck, think about what she was saying is it's amazing what she said because I think she nailed that on the head. Think about what Thomas has been through. We have a gentleman, Mike, in our program, and he did a 15K or 13K here a
I
month
know
ago.
he's amazing.
And
Yeah,
how
I
each
couldn't
of
believe
us,
that.
and Thomas is now going to work out, and he's working out. And think about Alan. Look at what Alan has been through and where he is today. And Mark, March, don't you still have that total blockage? But you built because you are all over the place. You really
Uh,
are.
I'm
I know
100%
you
blocked
go,
from
go,
my hip to
go.
my knee,
Never,
and
never sell yourself short. You're doing amazing. I know it hurts still, doesn't it? But
yeah.
Chuck, does it hurts still? It's not like the
Marcia has
pain is.
been through hell. In my experience of reading your website, she's been through probably the worst of anyone.
Yeah.
So she's
Oh,
here,
you mean Marie?
which is
You
cool.
mean
You're
I'm
talking
proud
And
of her.
about Marie.
oh Marie?
look at
But
Beth is with us. Look at what she's been through. And
well, Douglas, they don't all know what she's been through. Chuck, this is his first real time
well,
coming in here, so it's hard for her,
so, but
for him to
it's
know.
that general knowledge of what we all been through with our disease and
Well, the point
how
is, I
the
guess you're saying is
stories
that they're all different, right? Everybody's
how
different.
the
Everyone
stories
has
are
different,
different.
yeah,
Yes,
different
yes,
presentations of disease.
absolutely.
Everyone, right? Everyone's at a different level. Is that what you're saying? That everyone has, like, you can't compare yourself to anyone else, but that's the thing. And I think that's what makes PAD so difficult is that even for doctors, is that for every single person, there is no one size fits all.
And it could
You
depend
know,
maybe on
True.
where your blockages are. Also,
that too.
I don't know. I mean, I only know my situation, but I imagine if I had a blockage down on my foot, it would be a different ball game. I just need to get blood to my foot.
Yeah. But it's cool that I don't know how I still don't I mean, Chuck, it's amazing to me that so do are you mostly collateral vessels because your stents kept blocking? Are your stents open, Chuck?
No, they're
I think
blocked.
see
They're
they're yeah,
blocked.
they're blocked.
I only have it on the right femoral, the SFA, and every time I have a procedure, everything is wonderful for 6 to 9 months, and then after that, they're like 80 to 95% blocked, and right now they're 95% blocked. But I built collaterals, so it doesn't matter that the SFA is blocked if you built
Yeah.
tremendous collaterals, which I somehow I've done.
That's
I'm right
How
only
there
on
long
your
did
with
it
right
you.
take
side.
That's
you?
exactly how I am, except for I'm
The
100%
best
blocked.
advice is to keep walking as much as you can stand it through the pain. Through the pain. I went through a lot of pain walking up. When I play golf in San Clemente, it's hilly. I go straight up like 30-degree slopes and I deal with it. I walk until it hurts too much. I
Good
have
for
to
you.
stop. And that's what you do. And that's the best advice Kim ever gave me.
It's just suck it up, buttercup.
You
That's what I
guys suck
said.
it up.
Out of all the things we can do, walk, walk, walk. That is the number
That's what
one
I do.
thing that absolutely all of us can do. Walk till we feel that claudication and take that next step
Exactly.
and take that next step.
Chuck, my situation is very much like yours. And I remember when I was diagnosed, I thought they're going to amputate my leg. I would
I
rather walk
thought
with some pain than have my leg cut off.
I
And
thought I
so
would
it
die.
was, for me, very, very good motivation to walk through that pain.
Yep. Just keep walking through it. And I take baby
It's a
aspirin.
bitch.
That's all I take right now, plus a statin, whatever.
Yes.
That's it. No
And
more
Marcia, are you on a
Xarelto.
statin?
No
Marcia,
more.
are you on a statin?
I am.
I'm on statin. I'm on
rosuvastatin
Crestor.
and
Crestor and baby aspirin.
Okay,
And
you're on
I
Crestor.
take blood pressure meds, but my numbers are awesome. I have a 66 HDL, 67 LDL, 63 triglyceride. I don't eat sugar. So all of that is, the Mediterranean diet you're pushing, Kim. That's awesome. That's what I eat mostly.
Hey, that's good. And Marcia, are you on atorvastatin?
no, I'm on
No, I was, but I'm on Crestor.
You can't hear.
I can't hear.
No, it's I'm asking Marcia. Give me a second. Marcia, which one
You're
are you
asking
on?
Marcia. Yeah.
I'm on rosuvastatin, phenovibrate. What is phenovibrate? I forget.
God, it's not loud
I'm
enough.
And a baby aspirin, but I just had my labs done today and they were excellent. My A1C was a little high, but not diabetic. But Kim, this is something scary. She said I was in stage 3 kidney failure. I'm like, how the heck that happened? And so I'm reading all up now about kidney failure, and the diet is like way different, I think, than like a PAD. They said very little fish, very little protein, lean protein, like very little. They do not want me having protein.
okay. So I'm looking Joshua, our YouTube producer. I just had this conversation with Dr. Lily Johnston on Monday. I'm going to share exactly Joshua puts up their old science because I'll send you what Dr. Lily Johnston just sent me. She contradicted me live on the air because I have been told by patients that their doctors have told them no protein, low protein. And she said, Kim, I am going to kindly disagree. And I said, have at it. Tell me about it. So she sent me a really great study that's newer. And she said there's different schools of thought, but she said she really was kind of blown away by this study, which I'm going to find for you.
Did it
It's
have to do with kidneys or just general health? Because this is
nope, this
kidneys.
is kidneys. No,
I
this is
think
Oh,
kidneys.
And what,
because
Mark? What do you
yeah,
think about the new food group and how it's done, Marcia, and what you
well,
eat and how healthy you do eat and how you helped us, how you
I
helped
eat.
me learn
Thank
how to
you.
eat better too.
Thank you, Douglas. I thought it was working for me. It was working for me weight wise and with my walking and exercise. I mean, I go to the gym every day. And
Tracy.
thanks, Kim. I'll look at that here in a minute. Um, so I was happy to know. And the thing is, for me, I remember when I first started walking and I would be hiking, like, not like VJ, God bless her heart, but, for me, it was good. Like I'd go out on a 5 mile hike in the summer and in the heat, and I would go to our grocery store and they would have like roasted turkey, like real turkeys, not like processed meat. And I would ask for a big piece of that, and I couldn't wait to get that protein in me. My body was craving it. So when I heard about the food groups that, more protein, I was happy. But now I'm like, okay, well, scratch that. Now if I have kidney issues.
A lot of it has to do with you might want to double check on, I don't know how much water you consume. I know that my mom's would fluctuate when she was here because of water consumption, and the primary care doctor said so many people are misdiagnosed because they don't know about making sure that the patient and have them tracking their water consumption and hydration. So I don't know
Well,
the truth on that.
interesting. You would think that water would, help your kidneys flush it out, but it was saying low water, even soups, ice, anything that has water in it, things
huh.
like popsicles, or they want you to take very little water. And I thought your body, I was so proud I was drinking more water.
Yeah, I would double check. I would get a second opinion on that one and have a different test. Really take a log of what you were eating, what you were drinking, how much you were
Okay.
drinking. I would start to do that. and track it and then redo the test to make sure, because you just come across as a very healthy person. You're eating right, you're doing everything. So I'm wondering if there was some sort of reason, just like I ended up getting some lab tests done, and they were so far off that my doctor called me and said, okay, something's wrong with you. We got to do more testing. And I said, well, is there, I mean, I had a UTI and I was on antibiotics when I took the test. She's like, oh, dear
That's
Lord.
it. Yeah. Because
And
that'll
she's
spike
like,
a lot of things. Your a UTI
she's like,
will.
and it can do it for, she said it could do it for months.
Huh.
If you have an infection in your body, it can literally throw all of your numbers off for months. And I was like, oh, she's like, come on, just take a deep breath. Let's wait 3 months and we're going to redo it again. And lo and behold, I did the tests again. And
Well,
yeah,
good.
so,
And
and
look at, we
just have to
talked
be
about
careful.
that the other day about the new food pyramid and how even Dr. Daysinger said something a little bit different than she did, and
Yep, they all say something different.
how it's going to change, how drastic will it really change the whole thought process of, yeah, now I can, first thing I thought about was steak. Oh, I can have steak now.
But
Let's
steak has
fire up the
fat in it.
barbecue grill.
Yeah, but you need to watch
I'm
the
with you.
fat.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this has been really fun. I have to close up at least the broadcast version of this, because but it's the benefit of being here in the live studio audience. You can keep talking. info@padhelp.org for those watching online. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, because it really helps us spread awareness for PAD and the life and limb saving options available in the Leg Saver Hotline at 1-833-PAD. Legs. But those of you here in the live studio audience, stick around and continue the conversation. But over and out.
All right.